Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I have 9 o'clock on my computer. We're gonna call this Sawyer County Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Ron Buckholz.
Here.
Ed Peters.
Here.
Jason Weaver. Mark Helwig.
Here.
Marshall Savitsky. You have a quorum.
Okay. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, number 4, certification of compliance, Madam Clerk.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, meeting agenda number 5. It was asked by Mr. Fremmel to move his from number 13 up to right after number 7. So any more questions? If not. Okay, number 7. Approval of the previous minutes. Approval of the minutes. Second. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Peters and second by Mr. Helwig to approve. All in favor, say aye. 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 All opposed. Motion carries. I forgot public comment. Anybody out there want to speak on public comment?
I'm just getting one guest. I'm not quite sure who that is.
Okay, I bypassed that one for some reason.
I didn't even want to know who they are.
I don't see any hands raised on virtual.
Okay, so. All right, Mr. Fremmel, you're up.
All right, well, as you can see, we've been super busy with February, obviously getting ready for Berkey. I've been, me and Jim Onerheim have been attending job fairs at the schools. We've also been putting together, and it is now on their class list. There's an EMR class going to be starting in the Hayward High School. We've been working on that with them. The LCO, we've been working with LCO College and the high school there, and we're looking at starting an EMR course with their high school, plus an EMT basic course, and getting them. Leah has been, because she's an instructor too with the state of Wisconsin, so she can actually teach the course. So she's been working with them to work on that. I've been building up my reserves. So far, we've gotten a lot of people interested in coming to Sawyer County, just getting them onboarded and making sure that they work. We've been getting some nurses to come on in. So when I get staffed up enough to be comfortable to approach the hospitals about having like guaranteed transfers, we're getting close to that. I just got off the phone yesterday with another nurse that's interested in taking transfers. So all good. I have a guy I'm going to call right when I get back, a basic. And there's a few odds and ends that we have to address, but that's down the road stuff. Everything else has been going positive. As you can see on my report, there was 2 CPR incidents during the Cordy, nothing major during the Berkey. One unfortunately passed away, and the other one is actually expected to make a full recovery.
Right.
So we do have a sad note. One of our, basically a pillar of Sawyer County, even though he technically didn't live in Sawyer County, he lives in Washburn County, but Roy Hendricks had a really bad accident, and he's up in, the last I got told is he's up in a Coleman ICU. There's some positive movement towards recovery, so we're hoping on that. Roy is everybody's favorite. Anybody who knows him loves him. He's a great human being. So I'll try to keep the county updated with what I know. Obviously, if it's medical wise, I can't release HIPAA.
No, that's fine.
So, but we're keeping him in our prayers.
Okay. Any more?
That's all I got, unless Andy's got something.
Andy, you have anything you want to add to that or nothing?
Nothing to John's report. I guess I want to talk about D underneath that when the time is right.
Okay. So, number B, ambulance billing.
Yeah, we're revamping. They're not up to the new January yet. They're still in 2022. I was gonna get those numbers, but I just kind of ran out of time with all the stuff I had.
Okay.
We're actually doing pretty good. We're at the 30% still. And they're supposed to be getting me the old billing company, which is not easy to work with right now, is not giving me their final numbers either. Which I'm not familiar with the new old billing company too well, or the people that work there, but I'm not getting very fast replies to my emails. If that's the answer I can say to that. But so far with LifeQuest, anything that they've asked to update to make billing easier, we've done. And I believe the number, 100% is what we shoot for, but it seems like the industry standard is 30 to 25 to 40%, somewhere between there. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions for John?
Just wonder, is there anything in the works for winter school?
We're trying to reach out with them. I'm working with John Holmes. We did their 80s. I haven't got anything back from their faculty yet about if it's able to. So we did, when we introduced the EMR course, we did to all the schools. So, and I don't know if maybe I got a wrong email or I got to do some follow-up, but if somebody reaches out to me and they know about it, I'll definitely jump on it. We've been trying to push out, because we do a lot of the CPR classes, which is very good for the community. I believe in it a lot. It's something that I enjoy doing and helping out with.
Yeah.
But I do know that as I start to get things straightened out, how I run things, I want to kind of push for like a community day, like when you guys have your events or something, maybe pushing like CPR classes on certain days when I know there's going to be a bunch of people there down, especially in the places where they're less sparsely populated. Right now, what we've been working on are doing like the churches and stuff, and when they reach out to us, we just, all right, let's set up a class. How many people? We need a minimum of 5, and I usually, Jim Onerheim is sent on it, or me and Jim, or I have other instructors that I can send on it, and, early recognition of strokes and codes. That's what saves lives. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, and I want to make sure we keep that out in the community and keep everybody, and it helps people understand what's going on when, we show up.
Okay. So why are you in connection with John Holmes on that?
He's Fire Association.
Yeah.
So I deal with him, and he works through the school.
Yeah.
So he's the only contact that I actually know. So,
okay.
If you got somebody else, I would definitely do it. But I'm on a committee with him through the Fire Association.
Okay.
So that's.
I guess I was wondering why you wouldn't go through like the district administrator or the principal.
Well, I believe I talked to one of them so far, but I'm unsure. I would love to have a conversation with him. So
I was just wondering.
Yeah. But I start with who I know, and then I go up the chain. So
yeah. Okay. All right.
Just one other
go ahead, Ed.
That came up while I worked the polls over in Rayford, and we had a person come in and they noticed that their spouse's name was still on the voting list, and he said, well, they've died, they're dead. Is there a way that the town clerk can get death records?
Yeah, they can, if it's a death that I deal with as the coroner, I don't deal with all deaths, but if it's something that I deal with, I can I can look it up and get proof of it. The other way that it's actually really done is the Register of Deeds,
Okay,
is they keep track of all deaths in the county.
And we get a report through
Yep.
Wistvote eventually. It's not
So-
immediate, but we get a report through the software that of deceased individuals in our county.
okay.
But I can, like, if it's something that I dealt with, I can definitely. Or I can find out because it's kind of up my alley anyway, so.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions for Mr. Premmel?
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
number D, Town of Edgewater request. Andy, you wanna handle that?
Yeah, I can give a just I guess an update on I guess the discussion. So I think maybe I mentioned last month that the town chairman for Edgewater had contacted me about the town's interest in exiting the county ambulance service, or not getting served and not getting charged. The taxpayers not getting charged for being a part of the ambulance service because they contract with another party with the Birchwood ambulance for service. That is not really possible because we're on a countywide service. It's part of our county levy. It's levied on all the taxpayers. There's no, for one, practical reason to not tax those taxpayers for that. The other is there's case law for a similar situation in Portage County where a township tried to do the same thing and the courts rejected their ability to do that since it was a countywide levy. So I have not talked directly to the town chairman, but he has sent through a board member some other inquiries about the possibility of, okay, so the taxpayers are still getting taxed through the county levy. So the county would take the portion of the EMS levy that's applicable to the town of Edgewater, take that out, pay the township's cost for the Birchwood ambulance, whatever their annual cost is to be a part of that service, and then we'd be able to keep the rest of the money. So that appears to be possible from a legal standpoint. We have not found anything that would say we couldn't do that, but there is maybe some more issues we have to look at from a liability standpoint of, passing on county levy, because we have a countywide ambulance service, we essentially have responsibility for the whole county. And if they're going to contract with another party, where does that leave us as far as liability? This did also bring up some other questions, in that how are we dispatching to the town of Edgewater? There's an understanding that they've contracted with Birchwood, so we've been dispatching Birchwood, but really we don't have anything in writing for that directive from the township to do that. So we probably need to clean that up as well. And then also that service is not always up and running. And so John and Nicole have talked about how we dispatch the Sawyer County ambulance at the same time we're dispatching Birchwood, so that township is getting service when there's a call. So those things that need to be cleaned up from the standpoint of, okay, if we can take county levy and pay the costs for them to be a part of the Birchwood service, while that might be possible, we have to have a discussion here at some point as to whether we'd want to do that, because I can foresee where that would open up the proverbial can of worms, that if you allow one township to decide that they don't want the county service and you assist them or agree to provide funds for them to get it from somewhere else, there could be other county services that townships decide they don't want to be a part of, or they're not getting service from, so they want the county to pay the cost for another provider. And I mean, just an immediate example would be like City of Hayward, Town of Hayward, that have their own law enforcement and don't use the sheriff's department, or don't use it as much. So would we be asked to provide some of our county levy from our sheriff's department to support their operations, or zoning for unzoned townships, that type of thing. So I still need to have another conversation with the township, with the chairman there, to have a more formal conversation. But I guess I just wanted to kind of tell you where we're at, because it's going to end up probably at this committee or ultimately at the board if this request continues forward.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Andy, so were we not covering that area? Why would they have gone to a different agency?
That's kind of were we not covering it? No, we'll cover it, and we do cover it. I think that's probably, I'll admit that's probably the weak spot, and John can comment too. I would say that's probably the weak spot of the service, just the response time to that township. But I believe their agreement with Birchwood goes back quite a few years.
So, yeah, they've been in, even when we were a volunteer ambulance, they've had Birchwood as their contact. We very seldom get paged down there, and that's because they were out, everybody was of the thought process that Birchwood covered Edgewater, right? So we would never barely get paged to it. Well, it wasn't a big deal until we became paramedic service. Once we became a paramedic service, we are the highest level around. So what we're working on is making sure that we're paged to every call down there. And I got Birchwood went through some leadership changes to their ambulance, and I got to get with them because there's very bad communication between Sawyer County and Birchwood ambulance. They're good people and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes they can get on scene a lot quicker than us, and they don't give us an update of what's going on, or they don't tell us that they're not in route either, right? So there's a big lag between it. A lot of Edgewater is, within our area that we can cover really quick. And when we were volunteers, Stone Lake can get down to Edgewater pretty quick too.
Right.
But a lot of the people that were from Edgewater were volunteers on Birchwood ambulance. So.
Well, yeah, we don't want, so nobody's going,
No.
but then we don't want where two agencies are going.
Yep. So it's okay to cancel us, right? It's okay because and it happens a lot especially on our Washburn sides and our stuff like that, where we're flying to a scene and say that first responders got on scene and said, hey, this is nothing, we're helping her out, she'll be fine, you guys can cancel. That does happen quite a bit. But what we want to avoid is when a BLS service comes on scene, because I don't like to say people are just basics, because that's what, basics save lives.
Right, they're the first ones there.
They're the first ones there.
Exactly.
However, when it comes to more critical patients, sometimes it's better to wait to determine, do we need a helicopter? Can I take this patient as a paramedic, give him the treatment they need, and then get them to the appropriate hospital? So we need to work with Birchwood on that, because their philosophy is a good one, like, hey, we can't handle a lot of this stuff, so we're throwing them in the rig and we're boot scooting out of there. So it's just kind of a training that I have to have with I know their leadership and stuff, that we need to bring them in and get them more comfortable working with us.
Yeah.
Because they've been part of the county and doing this so long. They intercept with Rice Lake all the time. It's just, they don't think about where they are, whatever. They just like, okay, I'm going to be going to Rice Lake. And they grab someone and they call, not knowing that Sawyer County Ambulance could hit them off a C way quicker than Rice Lake can, and we would get the intercept.
Sounds like big time communication.
So it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've got to work on. I can see that right now. And the majority of Edgewater is in Sawyer County, right? Or all of it?
All of it is.
All of it, okay.
The thing is that, Birchwood's right on that edge.
Right, they're right on the edge, yeah.
And they have that volunteers stuff, but a lot of the critical incidences that happen in Edgewater are actually closer to Stone Lake because of the trails, and ATV trail. We have a lot of ATV accidents down there. And unfortunately, the way I kind of have found out about a lot of these is through the corner side, where you're thinking like, I get called for a death and I'm like, we never heard of, well, I'm like,
And
What are you talking about? There's an accident at this intersection and one person died. Like, I didn't hear about it. You know,
so Andy, my question to you is on this town of Edgewater deal. Do you need to get with legal counsel on this, or is it something that you can just do yourself?
No, well, I need to get back with legal counsel. I have talked to them about the initial request. I actually need to circle back with Pete Baraboo, who's the town chairman.
Yeah.
There's been some messages coming through an intermediary. Yeah, I think him and I just need to have a talk, and if
Okay.
township wants to do this, I want them to put it in a more formal request, and we need to clean up if they want us to. What we're doing already is contacting Birchwood, dispatching Birchwood. We really should have a written agreement with the township that's the direction we're getting from them.
Great. So that's something that we should, you and John should clean up to, is, getting on board with Birchwood and getting this all organized so we know where everything's at. So, okay. All right. You got any more questions for Andy? Okay, not. All right. Thanks, John.
thank you much.
Okay, number 8, judges report. Okay, number B, courthouse remodel update, Andy.
As of yesterday's update for our building meeting yesterday, things are looking pretty good. The equipment we had been waiting for, the HVAC unit and the electrical panel, both have arrived. And so those will be, I think they were setting some of that on the roof yesterday. So the timeline has been extended. You already knew that the court will be operating in the current courtroom until the end of this month. And then they'll start the switch over during the first week in April. And then they'll be up and running in the new courtroom. So that timeline is still good. Furniture, fixtures, types of things were delivered last week and assembled and set. So no new change orders or costs, and the timeline is still where we're still good, still what we were expecting.
Okay. Good. Any questions for him?
No, sounds good.
All right, thanks, Andy. Number 9, clerk of courts, Marge. You got anything for us you want to say? I read your report, looks good.
Nothing new other than questions.
Okay. You guys have any questions for Marge?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate you sticking around.
All right, number 10. Sheriff, looks like you and Deputy Rapinski got the whole thing there, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
For the communication center report, we hired 2 new full-time employees. At the same token, we lost 2 more. They took with them 10 years of experience. Correction that we have 3 vacant full-time shifts at this time. We are currently training 1 part-time dispatcher who will most likely be seeking full-time. The reports I've gotten so far that he's doing well. Our 2 new dispatchers that we have hired are still very green. They're still learning, but they're doing well. But we are very shorthanded. The full-time staff, along with part-time and full-time patrol deputies and part-time dispatchers, have been putting in a lot of hours to fill the gaps that we currently have. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without their help and their dedication. So I'd like to give a shout out to them. We are receiving applications fairly regularly for dispatchers. We've had 3 or 4 shadows recently. We have another one today that's shadowing in dispatch. Another one that's shadowing next week. Hoping to put out interviews within the next couple of weeks after that. And then we're looking at using what Douglas County uses as a program for testing applicants and evaluating what they would do in dispatch. It's called Critical. It's a 911 EMS skills testing program. Douglas County's used it for 3 to 4 years or 4 to 5 years. Experiencing less turnover rates by evaluating them before they become and go through the training process as dispatchers. So we're looking into that, getting more information from that. For February, for CADs, we've had 917, a little bit down since February of 2022. Total number of calls for service year to date is 2287.
Yeah,
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Do you do dispatch stuff, right?
Yeah.
Cover that?
Yes,
My question is, have you ever, I know this is a pretty big deal. Have you ever thought of where the dispatch does a little more, assessment as far as when somebody calls, 911, what you should send out there?
as far as resources.
Right.
Like, do our dispatchers do more of an assessment? Our dispatchers go through a array of questions before they determine who they're going to send and how many they're going to send. Certain scenarios call for more patrol to respond. Certain scenarios call for fire, EMS, first responders, patrol, state patrol, DNR. Sometimes, I mean, our accident the other day had fire, EMS, air support, DNR, patrol. Everyone was on board for that call. So, and that was handled by one dispatcher in the morning.
Good. So have your new people had their old shits yet?
They have, unfortunately, handling a situation like that is very difficult on your own. I'm hoping to get more permanent basis. We can have 2 on, because the mental health alone, handling a call like that is taxing. There's a lot of thinking for one dispatcher to go into a call like that.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah, I've helped out in the past with the dispatcher when I was working in the jail. It's hectic. It's like you said, it's very hard on them.
Unfortunately, the turnover rates is about 40% for dispatchers, and there's not very many people who can do it perfectly. I mean, you can't ever do it perfectly, but there's not a lot of people who can actually do it and succeed at it.
Right.
It's a very hard job.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 people that just retired with all that experience, were they road deputies or
No, they were our full-time 10-year dispatchers.
dispatchers? Okay, all right.
What Bob?
And they didn't retire, they resigned.
Oh, they resigned.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
One is Corey Sully.
Oh, okay. Is there a reason why they resigned? Or is it something you don't want to talk about here? That's fine too.
They pursued employment. One is working at LP and the other is working for the hospital.
Okay, thank you.
Is Bob still there?
Bob has retired. Bob retired.
Oh, really? Okay. That's behind times.
We miss Bob.
Mr. Peters, you got something on that?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Who's gonna handle number B?
I will.
Okay, Sheriff.
The patrol report, for the month of February here may not be totally complete here, but 633 activities. And for crashes, I'll highlight some of the important ones here. We had 9 total, actually 10 total crashes. For those that are not aware, we did have a major accident on 63 just before 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning. A car versus a semi head on. It did end up with 1 fatality, another patient in critical condition. And there were 2 people in the passenger car, and the semi driver, outside of being majorly shook up, health wise is okay. So that brings us up to 3 personal injuries and a fatality for the month of February, and our first fatality for the year. Berkey went pretty well. Every year we do a lot of debriefing afterwards and talk about what went good, what went bad, and we're able to, kind of take care of the shortfalls and make it better every year. It really went pretty well this year without a hitch. So there was a lot more skiers, and I would estimate probably less visitors or less spectators. But I think probably part of that may be there's only so much housing. So that kind of, restricts how many people we're able to accommodate with the infrastructure we have in the community as well. We did give a conditional job offer to an individual. He is currently or was working for the village of Cameron. He's been there 5 years and is going to be a Sawyer County road deputy for us. To fill the vacancy that Lucas Shepherd left. Lucas left right at the first of the year, so we were able to fill that position, so he's coming on board.
You moved on to another department elsewhere?
Yes. Yes, he went to the Village of Minot.
Sheriff, was gonna ask you on that bad accident up on 63, was that weather related or you don't know?
The weather conditions were questionable and they had a little skip of snow up there that at that time that we didn't have south of Sealy, but you know, there were other potentially some other circumstances as well.
Okay.
Did they catch the middle snow area and then get pulled over to the other side of the road? Is that,
They veered left the center.
yeah, it's,
Wow.
sounds like that truck driver's never gonna drive again.
What's that?
Sounds like their truck driver's never gonna drive again.
I've heard rumblings. I haven't talked to him, but you know, I can't imagine what he went through.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Man.
To see that coming.
Okay. All right, any more questions for the sheriff?
Thank you.
If not, number C, jail report.
I'll give that as well, and just so everybody knows, between vacations and with a couple of lieutenants and the chief is helping with court today. We have a major trial this morning and we're a little short of staff for a couple of reasons. So he is, as he always does, filling the voids there. So our jail report for February, our daily population was just over 73. The females and males are broke down there. Average probation incarceration is just over 16. Average pre-sentence is just over 41. And sentence is just over 14. We have one on electronic monitor, and our females are being held in Barron County. We have 17 in Barron County at this time. And we are tracking our inmates at the time of arrest, if they're employed or not employed. And we're this month at 82% at the time of arrest are not employed. So we're working continuously with Justice Point and with assisting us with programs, and we really want to enhance the programs and change those numbers of incarceration, especially we believe it'll make a difference on recidivism. I also want to mention that with Nicole vacating court security position, we did give a job offer to Pat McDermott. He's currently a Milwaukee police officer with a summer home up here and wants to retire from Milwaukee PD. He's got 27 years in Milwaukee PD and fully certified, comes with a lot of experience from Milwaukee PD, and is going to be our new court security office deputy, filling Nicole's vacancy. So that's been beneficial. We are receiving some applications for the jail positions as well, more than we have in the past. And we have some more training here and shadowing, so that is looking a little better, even with the females.
Females good.
So we're hoping, we do have we have a maternity and paternity issue here coming up in the jail. We get through that, and with the added females being trained in, I think we can, we're hoping, you know, in the next 2 to 4 months, looking at bringing our females back. But there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
So you're also working with Justice Point about getting more people on electronic monitoring, you know what I'm saying?
Ian, yes, we are. And we work with them and they put it on. Carter Hartley, who gave a presentation here, he's the one that takes the lead on that as our Huber officer and making sure they meet the criteria. And part of that's set by the court,
Mhm.
because we only have say in the sentence inmates, not the pre-sentence inmates. And I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes. As you can see, with 41% being pre-sentenced, we're not able to do that for them. So it's the, especially the sentenced inmates. So
Yeah, I thought that was brought up before and he mentioned that, Sheriff.
Yeah, I think you're right that a lot of people don't understand.
Don't understand it.
The
Yeah.
pre-sentence part. They think that, oh, well, they're, let's get them, out of jail for this and that, but it's not that simple.
correct.
You guys are working on it, I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, number D, joint powers agreement, discussion and possible action. Andy?
I can
I
help.
was gonna hope the sheriff would cover that. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
This is an annual thing we have to do with all the towns, cities and villages. For their emergency services, primarily fire. And for our dispatch. So it's something we do annually. We have to do annually.
Okay.
To be able to dispatch them, so we're all on the same page. And this also, it's a statutory requirement to meet those obligations, so that's why we have to do it.
Okay.
Signed with a piece of paper, correct?
Okay. So you need approval from this committee then?
Yes, it is an action item.
Yeah, where's that?
It was recently added.
Yeah.
It's 10D, joint powers agreements. We don't have the agreements in front of us,
Yeah,
but Nicole has them.
okay,
Okay, 10D.
but those are
Okay,
all, basically all the same.
All the same, year after year. You
Okay.
sign,
Yeah,
you
okay.
sign, you sign.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the joint powers agreements.
Okay.
With towns,
Yeah, with the towns in the county.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Helwig and a second by Mr. Peters to approve joint powers agreements. We're gonna use the voice today because Lynn's got too much going on over there. So any more discussion?
Ron, it's
Yeah.
Marshall Savitsky. I am online. I heard all of Romel's report and everything since then.
Well, that's
So, I am in
Marshall.
favor of it, Lynn.
Where you been hiding?
So you've been on all this.
Not there. I'm traveling right now. Sorry. I had bad
Okay.
service earlier. I
Okay,
couldn't talk.
we'll give you credit for being in attendance then.
Okay, thanks, Marshall. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries to approve the joint powers agreement. Okay, number E, communication system specialist, Mr. Crook, you're up.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and everybody. Sorry I did not submit a report. We've been working on some audio issues that were brought up to us. To kind of just help you understand, the patch is between the two systems. The difficulty in trying to combine two systems together is the audio that passes between two systems. They're two separate systems, so you have to balance it out. We were advised of some audio issues and given a good report from some of the deputies that have been using Law D. And we found out that it was more so audio coming out of the dispatch, which impacts everything because the patch passes through the audio and dispatch and goes out. We now moved the patch to, you can say, kind of behind the scenes, so it bypasses dispatch, and we're still working on cleaning up that dispatch audio. So what it's working on is balancing out the audio between the two systems separate from dispatch audio. We worked on it the past 2 days intently with a lot of resources between Duluth Superior Communications, some help at the state, those kind of things. And it's kind of just tweaking adjustments here and going slowly, because just like setting your audio at home on a stereo system, turn it too far one way, it sounds horrible, turn it too far the other way, it doesn't sound anything, sounds horrible the other direction. So it's kind of a step and step, touch by go pace is on there. And that's really pretty much about it.
So they can hear them, it's just kind of
What it was,
Quarterly or-
what it was imbalance. We could balance it going good from one system to the other. And then when we said, okay, well, let's go ahead and reverse it and balance out that side, that throws that other side out. And a lot of this will help get cleaned up once we get that part that we've been waiting for EF Johnson in March, because that's more of a direct connection on there. And then that's going to clean the things up a little bit. Like I said, the biggest thing is we moved it from behind the scenes, and that has seemed to help facilitate a different gateway of audio that doesn't have 3 stopping points in essence.
Thanks, John.
The other thing I'll add too is, on March 9th, next Thursday, we are on the agenda for the Village of Winter, for their water tower to get our antenna up and functioning there with microwave to expand our antenna coverage.
Very good.
For Law D, so hopefully we can move forward. That's been held up due to construction in the Village of Winter there. That was, they were into some difficulties as well down there.
Yeah.
Last summer, so things got postponed. So hopefully here this spring, we can, that tower, the water tower itself will be completed where we can work something out and get our equipment up there and move forward. And that should really enhance Law D in the southern part of the county. As we know, the Village of Winter is kind of in a valley there.
Yes.
Super.
So,
Okay.
Guys
All right.
are always working it. Yeah.
Any more, you got any more thing, John?
No, I'm good unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for John?
No.
All right, thanks, John. Okay, number F, code enforcement specialist. Brandon?
Thank you, sir. Well, animal control side of things, seen an increase in at-large complaints. Got the first vicious dog declaration in, stemmed from the dog that had an incident. And we're, I think, 6 days after it was by me, it bit again. So we're going through with that.
You bit it again? Well, it sounded like it by me. Sorry.
The rabies vaccine clinic, dates, times, and pricing all been finalized. So Village of Winter, we're gonna have it March 24th, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. City of Hayward, March 25th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Rabies shots are gonna be $15 per shot, and then the microchipping is gonna be $18 per chip. The profits from that are gonna be split between the county and Leading Edge. So the cost of each rabies shot is $3.87, meaning that county will receive $5.56 per shot. For the chips, it's $9.39, and county will receive $4.30 per chip. Also going to have the license tags there, sold at their normal rate. Altered tags $10, non-altered $15. We're working on getting volunteers. I know that Leading Edge is going to have some staff and volunteers, so we're aiming to get 2 or 3 from the county as well as myself. Then revenue for animal control for the month of January was up significantly from last year, about a 28% rise. So 7,540 for January 2023 compared to 5,662.75 cents.
Can I ask what the difference is?
We found out in our office that the credit card receipts were not being run through the same account, so and our reports were not showing it. So we found out we had to contact the software vendor so they could let us see the credit card income, which we have not been seeing.
Oh.
So that's a big part of it, is we're now seeing the credit card income that's probably been there and we didn't know about it. It was going into the accounts correctly, but our office was not seeing it at all.
Did you catch that?
Yeah, well, I think that the other thing is just license sales period. So I think that, you know, that has to do with it, you know, I think that's some of it, but then I think too that the push for licenses.
I was just curious, it was because you came on board and you're doing such a great job.
I think it helps to have,
You're doing a good
I would
job,
like to
Brandon.
think so. I don't know. We'll find out next year. But getting the word out there about licenses, I had the flyers that I got to all the townships, their village halls, and then the post office and so on. Using Facebook is another one to get those posts out there. Speaking on that, it's another thing. Going on the Facebook dashboard, I can see that we have a rise in engagement and likes and all that. So we're getting more eyes on it, which is good just for getting the dogs home when I pick them up. But then also when we have announcements like tags are for sale or the vaccine clinic. And just continuing to work on that, getting more of a social media presence out there. A lot of the times when we have anything with licenses is, oh, I never knew I had to do that. And
Yeah,
even though I think most people probably do, it helps more for them to also see it on social media. And then code enforcement, only thing I have is that the citation books, state no longer prints them. So I had to get them printed, advanced printing. So now we have those. So hand out more citations.
so when you hand out like a pet violation, do they pay that or do they ignore it? I've heard people ignore it.
It depends. I've looked at the ones I've put out so far, and I have to track it on my own kind of. I don't get any notification whether or not they pay it. It's hit or miss. Some people just, they get it and toss it, ignore it. I'm trying to avoid just handing out citations. I prefer to go this is going to be a learning experience.
Sure.
I think that has a little more positive outlook. And then, we're looking at, instead of we give them a $50 citation and they buy the dog tag, to now they're going to buy that dog tag every year. And that's the ultimate goal, is just make sure that the dogs are getting their rabies vaccines and they're getting tagged. And then also to make sure they're not running around at large as much.
So when you issue that license or that citation, that's just like the sheriff or the deputy issuing a citation to somebody. How does that get enforced? Can't that go through the sheriff's office or no?
It goes to the clerk of courts.
Clerk of
office,
courts? Okay.
And then, the court sets up further consequences for non-payment and everything. That's out of law enforcement's hands. Once we issue the citation, it enters the court's jurisdiction and the court's jurisdiction.
Go ahead.
Could I ask a question? Does we put a note in the software so when they come for the next dog tag next year, if there's an unpaid fine in there, that we would be able to see that?
Possible. I'd have to see with the clerk of courts setting up with them, because right now I just use CCAT and see. Usually on there it says if their fine was paid or not. So that's usually how I check it through there.
Okay. Anything else, Brandon?
Nope, just the relevant reports.
Okay.
And then a picture of the flyer for the vaccine clinic.
Yeah, and I see it, and I think you're going to have a good turnout winter for that. I really do. I mean, all the years that I went to them, either in Exland or winter, you had to stand outside and wait. I'm hoping that's the way it is this year, winter for you too. So
yeah, I like the pricing too. I look
at
ones that have gone on recently. A lot of them were priced around the $20 range. So I think having that 15 pushes that more and helps it a little bit.
And that's what I use. I use these rabies clinics. They're cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions for Brandon? Thank you. Keep up the good work, Brandon. All right, number 11, emergency management.
Thank you. So I submitted the initial Wisconsin Disaster Fund grant. That was due on February 15th. I will be asking for an extension as we are unable to get final numbers for debris cleanup with the highway department because of all the snow we've gotten. They are hopefully offering extensions into probably midsummer to finalize that grant and get funding. Attended and hosted a local hazmat regional exercise with other counties. It was a good discussion. We discussed all the things we are really proficient at in this county with working together between the fire departments, EMS, DNR, everybody, and patrol. as well as dispatchers were involved as well. So we validated plans in the event of a hazardous material incident. I'd like to add a correction. I misspoke last public safety for the active shooter. The large scale exercise is planned for August of 2023 and the tabletop is planned for March 8th. This last week, I attended the 55th Annual Governor's Conference on Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Learned a lot about the Wisconsin Disaster Fund grant and all the things for damage assessments going into flood season. That was really beneficial. Hopefully we don't have large scale flooding, but if we do, I feel more prepared to handle that. And all, as well as networking with the other EMs in the region was very beneficial. They're all willing to work with us and us with them. So, and then just preparing for the Berkey last month, and on our end, basically went on without a hitch.
Good. Any questions for Nicole?
Just, I guess, just a comment with regard to the flooding. I've been watching the reports from National Weather Service, and they're talking about above normal risk for. Everybody wants the snow to go away, but it can't go away too fast.
No.
Otherwise, you can have problems.
The positive thing is, and I spoke with the National Weather Service, I met with them a couple weeks ago. We don't have much for a frost line, so that if it melts slowly and consistently, not all at once, we will be able to maintain. So keep your fingers crossed.
Great.
And we don't get a bunch of rain.
Yeah.
that too.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
Sheriff.
would just like to say too, on behalf of myself and the sheriff's office, Nicole has done an outstanding job here for 2 months. She had a lot thrown at her. She's still trying to fill a vacancy, a void as court security officer, doing that, as well as EM and our dispatch. And with the vacancies, staff exiting here, she is, tomorrow she's leaving halfway through the day and she's going to pull some night shifts. She has taken care of a lot of voids herself, right in dispatch, and she's been juggling her time back and forth. She's just done an outstanding job.
Good.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Nicole, for all that. Appreciate it. Okay, any more questions for him? Okay, number 12. Child support agency report. Okay. Any questions? You'll give us a report here.
Sandy had a court date at the same time as the meeting, so that's I'll just fill in for her. She submitted a report, and don't ask me any questions though.
Okay.
Beyond the report, the child support MOU, and I'm sorry I have to say this for another month, but we don't have the final copy. It is a slow process, but the attorney, our attorney, and the LCO attorney have been just making some final language changes. I don't see any problems with where we're going to end up with it. It seems all just kind of housekeeping. Beyond that, though, there's a new attorney on the LCO side, and things are moving well, though. I mean, there's another case match done, so there'll be some cases moving from our child support to theirs, and that seemed to go forward without any issues. So, work is progressing. It's just a matter of getting the MOU completed and then back to the governing bodies for approval. So I'll hope that's back for you next month.
Okay.
Item C is a separate issue. It's basically we see these every now and then from different associations. This one's from the child support end, of just asking the legislature and the governor to include $5 million of additional funding and child support for counties. That leverages federal funding. So I think it's for additional $5 million in state funding, they can get $9 million in federal funding. So this is coming from our child support office for the county board to consider, so that can be sent on to the elected representatives who will be doing the state budget to encourage them to increase funding for child support. So if it's your prerogative to support that, you would approve and recommend approval to the county board.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the resolution supporting increase county child support funding to the state.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Helwig and a second by Mr. Peters to approve the resolution in support of the increased county child support funding and to send it on to the county board. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed, motion carries. Okay. Number 13 we did. Number 14, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council update. Number A, county bylaws.
Yeah, I don't know that. So that the committee's for this, this is the committee that gets the CJCC report. I'm making sure you're aware of it, that the CJCC is adopting that will be going to the county board for approval. Lynn, could you just
It's shared.
scroll down to, I think, third page?
Third page, okay. Yes, there's the third page.
Hang on, that's not the page.
The next one, maybe removal.
It's the one that has the membership on it.
Meetings,
Who's on the
officers, that's probably coming up.
membership?
Maybe it was up.
It's up.
Page
Page
2 of the.
Page 2.
There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, the changes aren't showing up in here and highlights, but so what's been added is at the very top is number 6, that the CJCC may designate necessary subcommittees or work groups to accomplish their work, as well as be assigned responsibility for oversight of programs in absence of an existing oversight committee. So that was added because I anticipate there already is an opioid subcommittee working that reports back to the CJCC. So as things come up, they can designate subcommittees to carry out their work. And then under membership, this would increase the membership from 14 to 16 and voting members to 15. The two new additions would be L&M, Representative Sawyer County Health and Human Services, and then State of Wisconsin Public Defender's Office representative. There was talk of adding additional positions, but we've gone a different route and just asking certain staff from the county to be present at meetings. But they did determine that they would like to have 2 official members added, and that's the items L&M. So those are the amendments to the CJCC bylaws that have been approved by them and are being forwarded to the county board for approval as well.
Okay.
Then item B, I believe Julia Lyons will be the appointment for Human Services representative. I don't have the public defender's representative's name on hand to tell you who that would be, but that'll go to the county board as well for those additional appointments.
So we need to approve them here though, right?
I think just the
Especially
county.
number A.
If you'd like to, in the bylaws, it just says the county board has approval.
Oh, okay. Well, if we don't need to, then
And CJCC has already approved them, correct?
Yes.
So this is just a
That should be-
informational.
yeah, that should be good enough as long as they approved it.
And the appointments, is that a CJCC thing too, or?
They're recommending Julia, and I just don't have the public defender's office name to tell you who that is, but they'll have 2 recommendations to the board for who to appoint to those positions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, number C.
Just another update, because you'll see this at the county board meeting. Through CJCC, Public Health has put together a strategy for the overdose issues we're having with opioids, and a funding of how to use the opioid funds to carry out that strategy. So rather than have you see it and then have to see it at the county board, we're just going to do it at the county board meeting.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, number 15, future agenda items. Just that MOU will go back on next month's agenda then, Andy?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Right, I don't have nothing. You guys got anything?
No,
Well, I guess, will there be more coming through for next month on the town of Edgewater? Request?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If nothing else, at least be an update of where we're at, being a discussion.
Yeah, we can put that back on there if there's something to discuss. At least it'll be on there. Thanks, Mr. Peters, for that. Okay. Anything else? Number 16, correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. I have nothing. Okay, number 17, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marshall.
Yeah, see ya, thanks.